Dolce & Gabbana is an entry-level fashion house founded in 1985 in Legnano by Italian designers Domenico Dolce and Stefano Gabbana. The two met in Milan in 1980 and designed for the same fashion house. In 1982 they established a designer consulting studio. In time it grew to become Dolce & Gabbana. They presented their first women's collection in 1985 in Milan, where a year later their store would open its doors. In 1988, they launched their leotard line, and in 1989 they began designing underwear and swimming costumes. Dolce & Gabbana started to export their products to Japan and other countries like the US, where they founded their own showroom in 1990. In 1992, the same year they presented their men's collection, they also launched their first perfume, Dolce & Gabbana. They won the Woolmark Award in 1991, and the prize, Most Feminine Flavor of the Year, in 1993. Towards the end of the 1990s their sales were around $500 million, and in 2003 their revenue reached $633 million. By 2005, their turnover was €600 million. The design house. Early history. Domenico Dolce began his career in the fashion industry after dropping out of a 3-year course in fashion design at Marangoni Institute. Believing that he knew everything the school had to teach, his dream was to work for Giorgio Armani, so one day, he carried his book of sketches over to Armani's headquarters with the intention of showing the designer his work. Inside the door, there was a long white carpet leading to the receptionist's desk. Dolce was not sure if he should walk on it with his shoes on. "I am such a cretino," he says. "I know nothing." He decided that he would look ridiculous appearing at the front desk without shoes, so he approached by sidling along the wall, where he could step without sullying the carpet. He handed the book to the receptionist, and to this day, Dolce does not know if Armani ever saw the sketches. Dolce found a job as an assistant to a designer named Giorgio Correggiari. One night at a club, he met a young man named Stefano Gabbana. Dolce was impressed with Gabbana's good looks and outgoing personality, and Gabbana was happy to hear Dolce's advice on how to approach Correggiari for a job. Correggiari ended up hiring Gabbana to work on sportswear, and Dolce taught him how to sketch and the basics of tailoring, and in the process they became a couple. Soon after his hiring, Gabbana was conscripted for 18 months of mandatory military service, but in 1983, after his return in 1982, they had parted ways with Correggiari and were living together in a one-room loft where they often practiced sketching. Dolce: "We always filed 2 different invoices for the freelance work we did, even when we were working for the same client." Gabbana: "Our accountant said, why not just do one invoice for both of you? Put Dolce & Gabbana at the top." So the brand was born, the brainchild of a Milanese bookkeeper. Early collections. The first collection from the design duo was shown in October 1985 alongside 5 other up-and-coming Italian labels as part of Milan Fashion Week. The two did not have enough money to hire models or provide accessories for them, so they sought help from their friends. The models simply wore their personal items to complement the clothing. They used a bed sheet that Dolce had brought from home as their stage curtain. The pair labeled their first collection Real Women, due in part to the use of amateur local women on the runway. Their sales from their first collection were disappointing enough for Gabbana to cancel the fabric order they'd put in to create their second collection. However, Dolce's family offered to help meet their costs when the two visited them in Sicily over Christmas, and the fabric company did not receive the cancellation notice in time, so the fabric was ready for them back in Milan upon their return. They produced their next collection in 1986 and opened their first store that same year. Michael Gross wrote of their third collection in a 1992 interview, "They were a secret known only to a handful of Italian fashion editors. Their few models changed behind a rickety screen. They called their collection of t-shirts cotton and elastic silk pieces transformation. Their clothing in this collection came with instructions on the 7 different ways a piece could be worn in an outfit, as the wearer could use Velcro and snaps to alter the clothing's form. Their 4th collection was the first to make a significant impact on the Italian fashion market. In this collection, Dolce drew upon his Sicilian roots. The advertising campaign collection was shot by photographer Ferdinando Siana on location in Sicily, and featured Dutch model Marpessa Henning in black and white pictures inspired by the Italian cinema of the 1940s. They continued the use of Italian cinema as inspiration in their 5th collection, drawing on the work of filmmaker Luciano Visconti and his film The Leopard. One of the pieces from their 4th collection was labeled "The Sicilian Dress" by the fashion press, and was named by author Hal Rubinstein as one of the 100 most important dresses ever designed. It is considered to be the most representative piece of this era for the brand. Rubinstein described the piece in 2012 by writing, "The Sicilian dress is the essence of Dolce & Gabbana, the brand's sartorial touchstone. The dress takes its cue from a slip, but it's a slip that's adorned Anna Magnana, and it's a silhouette that has graced Anita Ekberg, Sophia Loren, and so forth. The straps fit tight to the body just as bra straps would. The neckline runs straight across but gets waylaid at least twice. Once on each side to caress each breast, and in the middle to meet an uplifting tuck that's giving a gentle push-up. The slip doesn't just slide down, but comes in at the waist to hold the figure firmly but not too tightly, and then widens to emphasize the hips, only to fall with a slight taper at the knees to guarantee that the hips will sway when the wearer walks." The 1980s and 1990s. In 1987, the two launched a separate knitwear line, and in 1989 they were started designing a lingerie line and a beachwear line. 2 years later they launched their leotard line, and in 1989 they began designing underwear and swimming costumes. Dolce & Gabbana started to export their products to Japan and other countries, such as the US, where they founded their own showroom in 1990. In 1992, the same year they presented their men's collection, they also launched their first perfume, Dolce & Gabbana. They won an Oscar for Best Male Perfume in 1996. Towards the end of the 1990s, their sales were around $500 million, and in 2003 alone their revenue reached $633.2 million. Then, in 1990, they launched their first men's collection. That year they also moved the design house into its first official offices and began to design gowns and other more expensive pieces in addition to their original clothing. Their 1990 spring-summer women's collection referenced the mythological painting of Raphael, and the duo began to build a reputation for crystal-encrusted clothing. The 1991 fall-winter women's collection was also adorned by trinkets, including filigree medals and embellished corsets. The 1992 fall-winter women's collection was then inspired by the silver screen of the 1950s, though the collection still included crystal-embellished bodysuits. By 1991, their men's collection was awarded the Woolmarco Award for the most innovative men's collection of the year. What is considered to be their first foray into international recognition came when Madonna wore a corset made of gemstones and accompanying jacket from Dolce & Gabbana to the premiere of Truth or Dare, in bed with Madonna at the 1990 Cannes Film Festival. The duo then partnered with Madonna in 1993 to design over 1,500 costumes for the artist's Girly Show International Tour in support of her 1992 album, Erotica. In an interview about the costumes, Madonna stated that, "The clothes are sexy with a sense of humor, like me." In 1994, the house's trademark double-breasted jacket was named La Turlington, after model Christy Turlington. That same year the company launched its second main line, D&G, a line aimed at younger individuals. In 1996, the D&G runway show appeared only on the internet and not the runway, in an experimental move towards new media. That year, Dolce & Gabbana also designed the costumes for the film Romeo plus Juliet. In terms of the film industry, both Dolce & Gabbana appeared in the 1995 film Uomo del Stelle by director Giuseppe Tornata, playing minor roles as extras. They appeared in more significant cameo roles in Rob Marshall's film adaptation 9. As stylists, they also worked on the music video Girl Panic by Duran Duran. In terms of their market expansion in the 1990s, in 1989, Dolce & Gabbana signed an agreement with the Kashiyama Group to open their first boutique in Japan. They released their first fragrance for women in 1992, called Dolce & Gabbana Pour Femme, which was awarded the Perfume Academy's 1993 award for Best Feminine Fragrance of the Year. Their first male fragrance, Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme, was the recipient of the Best Masculine Fragrance of the Year award from the same Academy in 1995. That year, Dolce & Gabbana's collections caused a controversy with the British and Italian press, when they selected the American gangster motif as inspiration for their work. Dolce & Gabbana transposed this fall-winter 1995 inspiration onto women's wear, which critics stated brought an erotic edge to the clothing. The duo had used the motif before as well. In 1992, photographer Steven Meisel shot an ad campaign for the house in which the models posed in gangster chic. This included wide-lapelled 1930s-style coats and black leather caps. Author Nira Palmer understated that Dolce & Gabbana, with their super feminine and fantastical style, broke away from the serious and sober-minded fashions that dominated during much of the 90s. They won the Woolmark Award in 1991, and the prize, Most Feminine Flavor of the Year, in 1993. 2000's Dolce & Gabbana continued to work with Madonna, designing the costumes for her Drowned World Tour in 2001, in support of her 2000 album Music. They also designed costumes for the international tours of Missy Elliott, Beyoncé, and Mary J. Blige. In 1999, the duo appeared on The Oprah Winfrey Show in support of singer Whitney Houston, who used the show to debut the Dolce & Gabbana designed costumes for her My Love Is Your Love tour. Considered by fashion and music critics to be unusually risque, the duo continued to design costumes for musical artists through the 2000s, including the costumes for Kylie Minogue's Showgirl Homecoming tour. Madonna also participated in Dolce & Gabbana's 2010 advertising campaigns. In the 2000s, Dolce & Gabbana took a great deal of inspiration from the sport of football as well. In 2003, the men's line took its main inspiration from the world's great football stars. Other forms of art were taking inspiration from Dolce & Gabbana too. In 2003, dance music artist Frankie Knuckles said that the fashion house was a great barometer for trends in both fashion and music. As for their impact on the design world, in 2002, the corsets that were a key part of early Dolce & Gabbana designs were being rediscovered by many of Europe's main designers as a coming trend. In recent years, Dolce & Gabbana has begun holding private viewings of their new collections for buyers, in order to sell their collections before they become public and in order to preempt the copying of their designs by fast fashion companies. By 2005, their turnover was €597 million. In 2012, D&G was merged with Dolce & Gabbana in order to strengthen the main line. The final independent D&G collection occurred in the spring-summer 2012 collection shown in September 2011. The New Yorker published in 2005 that Dolce & Gabbana are becoming to the 2000s what Prada was to the 1990s and Armani was to the 1980s. GLI Stylista, whose sensibility defines the decade. As for personal awards, In both 1996 and 1997, Dolce & Gabbana were named by FHM as the Designers of the Year. In 2003, GQ magazine named Dolce & Gabbana among their Men of the Year. The following year, readers of British Elle voted Dolce & Gabbana the best international designers at the 2004 Elle Style Awards. Dolce & Gabbana celebrated the 20th anniversary of their brand on the 19th of June 2010 at the Piazza della Scala and Palazzo Marino in Milan. A public exhibition was also held the following day that included a room in which several dozen televisions were piled haphazardly upon each other, each showing a different one of the design house's previous collections going back over its 20-year history. Brands. Dolce & Gabbana had two central lines until 2012, when the lines merged under the label Dolce & Gabbana. Dolce & Gabbana specializes in luxury items influenced more by designers and is more formal and timeless, responding to long-term trends as well as seasonal changes. It also sells sunglasses and corrective eyewear, purses, and watches. In April 2009 it launched its makeup range, unveiled at Selfridges, London by Scarlett Johansson. In February 2010, it was announced that American singer Madonna would design a collection of sunglasses titled MDG, set to be released in May of that year. It also has a set of fragrances for men and women. An example is The One, which is a perfume by Dolce & Gabbana. D&G was the younger, more flamboyant diffusion line of the brand. Unlike Dolce & Gabbana, D&G sold watches as well as clothing. Watches were manufactured by Naloni and Binder Group. In 2011, Dolce & Gabbana decided to discontinue the D&G line in order to put more strength and energy into their other collections. Other lines. Dolce & Gabbana created a bridal collection, but only between 1992 and 1998. The Dolce & Gabbana home collection, started in 1994, was also discontinued in 1999, with the exception of unique pieces being created for D&G premises. The first women's beachwear collection was developed in 1989, followed by the first men's beachwear collection in 1992. D&G launched an eyewear line in 1998 and a timepieces line in 2000. That same year D&G launched both a men's and women's underwear collection, separate from their Dolce & Gabbana lingerie collection. In 2001 they launched the D&G Junior line for children. In 2006 the duo launched the Animale line of leopard print accessories for women. And in 2007 they launched a line of crocodile travel cases for men. Other bags produced by the house include the Miss Sicily tote bag, and the Dolce bag, offered in straw and leather. In 2009 they launched their first line of color cosmetics, with Scarlett Johansson as the face of the advertising campaign. Dolce & Gabbana launched its first line of fine jewelry in late 2011 with an 80-piece line including bejeweled rosaries, charm bracelets, and necklaces. Dolce & Gabbana have received several awards for their fragrances, as was described in the above sections. Their current fragrances include The One, Sport, Light Blue, Dolce, Classic, Sicily, The One Rose, and the original scents, Pour Homme, and Parfum. On the 16th of October 2014, the company announced that Colin Farrell would be the face of their new fragrance called Intensa. Internet. Dolce & Gabbana made the DG logo an iconic and instantly recognizable symbol, but they were never able to get the matching internet address dg.com. In fact, dg.com is one of the oldest internet domains and was already registered in 1986 by the computer company Data General, now defunct. After that company closed in 1999, the URL went to EMC before Dollar General purchased it in 2010 after a bidding war with Dolce & Gabbana. Partnerships. Sports. Dolce & Gabbana has designed the on-field attire for AC Milan since 2004. In addition to having their on-field uniforms designed by Dolce & Gabbana, the players of AC Milan also dress in team-issued Dolce & Gabbana attire when at official functions off the field. The duo also designed the off-field suits for the Italian national football team. In 2010, Dolce & Gabbana signed a 3-year deal with the Chelsea Football Club to design and provide the club's on- and off-field uniforms and attire. The deal included the creation of clothing for female staff members in addition to male staff members and the players themselves. The off-field outfits designed for the club included a dark blue suit featuring the lion symbol on the breast pocket. The designers also redesigned the club's directors' lounge and main office reception area. Dolce & Gabbana are also the named sponsors of the Milano Thunder Italian boxing team. Products. In 2006, Dolce & Gabbana partnered with Motorola to produce the Motorola V3i Dolce & Gabbana cellular phone. Then in 2009, Dolce & Gabbana partnered with Sony Ericsson to produce a version of its Giallo cellular phone line with 24-karat gold details and the logo of the design house emblazoned on the co-designed piece of technology. Dolce & Gabbana also partnered with Citroën to co-design a version of their C3 Plurial vehicle. In 2010, Dolce & Gabbana partnered with Martini to produce a gold edition of its vermouth. In 2010, the design house then teamed with singer Madonna to release a co-designed line of sunglasses called MDG. Advertising campaigns. The commercial created for the first feminine fragrance of Dolce & Gabbana ran for several years in Italy, created by filmmaker Giuseppe Tornata, scored by Ennio Morricone, and starring actress Monica Bellucci. The 30-second surrealist commercial begins with a man slapping an octopus against the stone ridges of a tide pool. He stands and looks around himself at different women participating in their daily lives. One woman is seen changing into a 50s-style bathing suit behind a white sheet being held up by two other women. After she changes, she tosses her bra atop a prickly pear cactus and walks towards the ocean. Later she is seen lying atop a well-made bed, and the man who saw her is standing outside her window, holding her bra up to his nose. The film closes with the image of the Dolce & Gabbana fragrance bottles against a black backdrop. In 2003, the Dolce & Gabbana perfume Sicily was advertised in another surrealist commercial about a Sicilian funeral, which was also directed by Giuseppe Tornata. Gisele Bündchen starred in the 2006 commercial for the fragrance, The One, featuring Bündchen in front of a vanity mirror being made up with flashes of a mob of cameramen interspersed. She then puts on a golden dress, shoes, and has a pair of D&G sunglasses put on her face. Photographers and filmmakers that have worked with Dolce & Gabbana on advertising campaigns have included Giampaolo Barbieri, Michel Comte, Fabrizio Ferri, Stephen Klein, Stephen Meisel, Mert plus Marcus, Jean-Baptiste Mondino, Ferdinando Siana, Giampaolo Sura, Mario Sorrenti, Solve Sunsba, Mario Testino, Giuseppe Tornata, and Mariano Vivanco. Dolce & Gabbana have won 2 LED awards for their campaigns, Germany's leading advertising awards. In 2004 they won for their Fall/Winter 2003-04 campaign, and in 2006 they won for their Fall/Winter 2005-06 campaign.